I just want everybody to know that it's going to be a priority, from day one to put a product out there that everybody can be proud of. There's going to be people when we're on the West Coast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our final sports desk of the 2021 sports campaign. I'm Chris Heidel, along with Steve Zulich. George Bashura is on an assignment, but he'll be here in the new year. So thanks for joining us tonight. We have a big packed show for the last show of the year. We got Waiting in the Bullpen coming up in a couple minutes here on the program. Our good friend who loves coming on the program. We know who this guy is. He just won the 2021 PBA Player of the Year and actually had a great fall. He was riding on the down the Macy's parade. If you saw that on Thanksgiving morning, did a fantastic job on that. Kyle will be joining us in 4 minutes. Then followed by our good friend Dave Ryan will be joining us later in the show. Dave Ryan, who a good friend of ours here on the program, who does a great job with CBS and Fox. He'll be joining us to talk about the Professional Bowlers Tour. He was on the call for both 2 out of 3 of the perfect games this year on Fox, but he does more of the CBS stuff. So we'll talk to him about what he thinks about the PBA in 2022.
I was just saying, the thing for somebody else who also might want to try and get on for 2022 for the bowling world would be your old buddy Randy Peterson.
Yeah, we'll talk to Ryan to see Dave to see if we can get Randy on, and then it's 8:45. Our good friend Kelly Kulick will join us. She'll be right now practicing. Right now, she just became the junior U.S. junior bowling coach for the United States bowling last grade. Plus, she does a lot of stuff with Dave Ryan on CBS Sports Network. So with further ado, let's bring in the guy who took over the we don't know where Jason Belmonte is. I think he just he's sadly still over in Austria. But this guy took over the entire bowling world this year. Our 2021 Player of the Year, Kyle Troup. Kyle, how you doing, man? How's everything?
Doing good. Doing great, guys. Good to see you again. Y'all got a star-studded lineup tonight.
I know. We got to end the year on a bang. You can't
some stars on there. I like it.
Yeah, we can't be a part of it. Yeah. So you've been having a busy fall there, sir. I got to say, pretty cool seeing you on the float there for the Macy Days parade. Nicole and I, my girlfriend, were watching the whole thing. We go, we found Kyle. We found him.
Yeah, that was a really neat experience. Put on by Go Bowling and our good friend John Harbaugh. Myself and Shannon O'Keefe got to do that. That was, I've never been to the Macy's Day Parade. I probably haven't watched it in quite a while either. So it was, I remember watching it as a kid. But
didn't have you driving one of the bowling pins?
No, I asked to. But those things were fast. I mean, my guy was. I think he was in a race because he about threw me out the back of it a few times. But that was really neat. Seeing these people were standing outside hours before the 3-hour parade, and it was about 45 degrees in the shade. It was one of the warmest parades they've ever had. But it was neat. And the funny fact, I got called Bob Ross every 8 to 1 to Kyle. So I'm just like, hey, yeah, I'm Bob Ross. Heck yeah, Merry Christmas or Happy Thanksgiving, whatever it is. But no, it was really cool. Met a lot of cool people. Met a lot of fans. And everybody was just so happy. To be there to kind of start the holidays off, and it was a really neat experience. And then I was actually home having Thanksgiving dinner at 6:30 that evening, so it was pretty convenient. They worked around our schedules as well, so. Nice to be a part of that and spend it with the family.
Yeah, talk about going up the night before. You said you were going up the night before, and you stayed in the hotel with all the celebrities. Who did you meet?
I mean, that kind of turned out to I really didn't meet any celebrities, but it was I know it was a little bit of a letdown there, but they had us put up in a nice place. It was just the whole experience. They had blacked out Escalades to escort everybody to the parade, and I kind of felt like the president rolling around in a line of black Escalades, so that was pretty cool. But just a neat experience, and hopefully get to do that again in the future.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Watching it, it was funny. It was on Channel 11 on the Today Show, and I think the ladies who do the Today Show, they're like, "Hey, here's Kyle Troup. He's a baller," and I'm sitting there going, lady, you didn't even do your homework.
Yeah, they had our stats right though on CBS. They hooked it up. We got our little 30 seconds of fame, which was neat. I had lots of people saying they were tuning in, so that was cool. Just hearing from a lot of friends and fans, that they were sitting around with their families. I've heard from people I haven't heard from since high school, They're like, bro, I see you on TV in the parade. What are the, how crazy to think 10 years ago.
Yeah, not bad for a guy he worked at Wendy's, a couple years ago?
Right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
If you went from the Frosty King to the Macy's Day Parade.
Not bad. Well, let's talk about your season. When did you start getting yourself, for the last year you won a couple titles and everything shut down because of COVID. What did you get working to make it better this year that you learned from last year? Because it sounded like you just picked up where you left off, with the Players
Yeah.
Championship, and you just
You
kept
know,
rolling.
it was a tough year, in 2020 with COVID and whatnot. But luckily we were able to kind of get back bowling in the late summer, and I tried to bowl pretty much as I could leading up to 2021. Obviously, I've credited Sean Ryan several times for going down and working with him. Giving me some physical game tips and kind of opened up my eyes to how good my game could actually get. And once I seen that, I wanted to, hit the ground running, working hard, obviously winning the Players Championship. That was a goal of mine from the start of the season. So I was, very driven for that event. And then once you start off with a big win like that, you kind of have to keep on the gas, and then obviously having a good season throughout, winning the playoffs. Once I kind of had that major, kind of seeing how my season was going, obviously Player of the Year was definitely in the rear view, kind of thinking about it, trying not to think too much. Obviously, went out to Reno, didn't bowl very well at all at the U.S. Open, kind of put a little too much pressure on myself, and then just got back to basics. Kind of just stuck to it one tournament at a time, stay present, and was able to get the job done at the playoffs. And I guess I have to thank the players in the PBA for voting me Player of the Year. It was a amazing achievement. Obviously something that hasn't been accomplished in the Troup family. So that was cool to have that added to the record book for the Troup family. That was
That's
just
awesome.
such an honor, and now we gotta run it back.
Exactly.
Now, I've also been told that I've talked to a couple of the other PBA bowlers, like at on-site tournaments from a couple of years ago. Do a lot of the higher end bowlers have actual real bowling alleys in their basement to stay in shape when they're not in on
No,
tour or in the off season?
unfortunately, I don't think a lot of the bowlers have enough money for that, because that's quite expensive to have a house big enough. The lanes maybe not be the most expensive thing, but I guess having the house to put the lanes in. But a lot of the pros, they have local centers. I'm sure they take care of them, free practice, put out patterns and whatnot. So luckily we're blessed to have centers that kind of work with us and give us the opportunity to practice. And that's what I've been doing a lot of. I did a lot of traveling, doing some clinics, kind of enjoying the holidays. But time's ticking, boys. I was at the gym today doing a cleanse, starting to cleanse this week, trying to just get the body ready, get, practicing every day, really getting the arsenal, sharpened up, figuring out all the different shapes. We've had a lot of new pieces come out lately, a lot of great
Mhm.
pieces. And so, just a lot of tuning up going on the next couple weeks to start the year out. We actually have Team USA trials January 2nd through the 7th. I'll be going out to bowl that. Kind of just sharpen up, kind of see where I'm at. A lot of good bowlers bowl that event. And then obviously the PBA starts up the week after.
Yeah.
Now, I've also heard it's been mentioned, but I don't think they've gone really a whole lot into detail with it yet, of them possibly having bowling in the Olympics. Have you heard anything of that being
Yeah,
future
I know. I
reference?
mean, obviously not personally, but I do know there's been a lot of big moves and moving forward in the World Bowling Association, and the people that are in charge of that. I know World Championships over in Dubai was a big success. They had a great production behind that. You could hop on the app, switch camera angles. I mean, it was a top of the line, what you would expect in Dubai as far as a production. So I think that really turned some heads. And maybe get the Olympic committee and stuff like that to kind of start paying a bit more attention to bowling. So I think it's definitely it's on the rise. But obviously it's been a tough challenge for us for quite a long time. But after having such a great world championships there, yeah, I think moving forward, there's going to be a higher chance of it being in the Olympics.
Because I mean, they have just about every other sport you can imagine
Yeah,
in the
tell me about
Olympics now.
it.
So I've been hoping for the last 10 years. I want to see bowling in the Olympics, because I was a league bowler for 28 years. He and I both bowled on
Yeah.
leagues growing
Yeah.
up, and
That would be a, dream come true to, because I have won a gold medal with Team USA, but obviously that's a little different than an Olympic gold. But I did, if I had a little more ability or a little more rhythm, then I was going to try and take up break dancing, but I can't do that. So I'm going to stick to the lanes. And hopefully we get to compete for a gold medal in the future.
Yeah.
well, you can always, next time you win a tournament, you can always do like a little breakdancing move on the lane. The next time you win a tournament.
I don't know if I could do much more than just sit on my butt and do a 360, but
I think it's
like,
better
what
when
is he
you
doing?
develop again, like the like Triple H, like
Yep. Oh yeah. Had
Yeah.
to shout it out to the WWE.
Yeah, exactly. Well, real quick, we have you for the last 4 minutes. Mark Roth passed away a couple weeks ago. I know your dad bowled against him a lot. In when you were a kid growing up. I think everybody knows about 1984 U.S. Open, and Mark beat him, by like a pin or so. What did your dad say about bowling against Mark Roth?
It was, obviously a very sad time for the sport to lose a true ambassador and, legend of the game. And he just, we talked about it, he talked back to just appreciating the power and stuff that he brought to the game. He was a game changer for the sport. He kind of was the power player that got it started. So, when somebody of that nature has such an impact on the game, kind of like Jason Belmonte has, kind of getting the two-handed bowling kind of revolutionized to begin. It was obviously very sad, but we were very thankful. I was very thankful to be able to meet Mark, have some conversations with him, and we wish all the best to his family. And the bowling world definitely misses him, but he's not going to be gone. He is, but he's going to be around in the sport forever.
Yeah, all the old videos, you can still watch them anytime you want. And when I was a kid growing up, Mark Roth was the guy I watched because I don't really have a bowling style. I just go up there and chuck it, and and my mother's like, like you don't even have a style. I'm like, no, because Mark Roth didn't really have a style. He just went up there and just chucked that sucker down the
Ripped it.
lane.
Yep.
Yeah, and he has more. I was at a one of these programs that Steve and I used to do up here in Maryland, and Walter Wade Williams came by one time, and I bowled, and I got this whole strike. It was loud, and he looks at me and goes, "Was that you?" I was like, "Yeah, that was me." Why? And he goes, "That sounded like Mark Roth right there." I'm like, "Okay." I was
That's it.
like,
Yeah. Heck yeah. I'll take that compliment any day.
yeah. I was like, "Thank you, man. I appreciate that."
Definitely.
And I'm thinking like, yeah, I can make a loud strike. My mom, knows when I get one. When you feel it, you can get it loud.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yep. Yeah. We all know the sweet spot. Yeah. When it hits that,
exactly. Yeah.
people turn heads.
I do got to ask you one thing though. Coming from somebody who's had multiple 300 games throughout his career, how do you fight off the urge to when you're going for your first? Because I've been there twice and I've screwed it up both times.
That's a good question, and I see a lot of kids, and you can relate it to the front nine or just kind of needing a double in the 10th in a regular game, to bowl 220. I see a lot of times, people, all right, it's the 10th frame, and you automatically change the whole thought process. Like it's the end of the game, I got to strike out here. I can, because we know we can throw 3 strikes in the 10th, so we automatically, all right, got to be good here in the 10th. And then obviously, if you have the front nine, you start thinking like, oh, this would be so great, if I throw the
Yeah,
next 3 strikes and get my first 300. But, the advice I give you is you got to stay present. It goes back to what I preached about, anytime I was on TV, stick to that process. Um, the thought process is a big thing because once you start thinking forward about having that 300 versus, all right, let's throw the next frame, keep thinking, whatever you've been focusing on throughout that game, you want to try and just keep that thought process the same and be aggressive. That's the other thing, whether it's to bowl 300 or double in the 10th to win a league match or, whatever it is, don't be afraid of the 10th. That's where the good bowlers make a living. That's where we want to be. That's the frame where you take that opportunity and you run with it. So,
Mhm.
it's just not being afraid of the moment, not thinking ahead and, just sticking to the process. And obviously you're doing something right to throw the first 9. So just stick to that, try and
Well,
keep the thought process quiet.
I've done it reverse order both times. I started first time I did, I threw a 290 where I had ninth
Spare and
or
then
first
yeah.
frame and then struck out the rest of the game.
But then, you
And
can't bowl 300, so the pressure's off immediately as far as that goes,
and
but,
then the first time I did it, I had front 10, which was as much as I had gone to previously. So now I'm starting not to think about it. I get up there, I hit number 11. So I was like, oh boy, here we go.
yep,
And,
and that right there is what I was kinda talking about is, I know you've
plus all
never
my
done it.
teammates are yelling at me in the back going, Steve, I'm like, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Let me get it first.
Hey, or he could also be like Pete McCormick when I was a kid growing up in '87. You could tell he was so nervous. He was like
Oh, yeah,
shaking.
that $100,000 ball,
Yeah,
yeah, he was physically shaking, but
yeah, he
he
was
did it.
shaking. Yeah,
He did it. So what that tells me is even though his body was shaking and the nerves were coming out of him, his thought process and his mental composure in that frame was good enough to
Mhm.
execute the shot and get it done because I think it all comes down to the mind. Because once you start thinking forward and you get nervous, the heart rate goes up, hands start getting a little sweaty.
Yeah,
But the other thing is you got to breathe, deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, even if it takes you an extra 15 seconds before you step up and throw the first one in the 10th. And I mean, even if I step up in league in the front nine, I take a couple extra deep breaths, because hell, it's
Yeah.
300. I've bowled many, but there it's just as important as the one before, I guess, unless it was for $1 million bowling for a title on a major. But hey, 300 is the perfect game. That's what we all shoot to achieve. So I think the more opportunities you get, and I heard that also, the more times you put yourself in that situation, it'll happen. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
had a lot of second place finishes, a lot of 279s, 299s, 289s, growing up. But it's actually true, believe it or not, but it's just all about keeping that thought process the same and really staying present in what you're doing.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Well, Kyle, I want to wish you and your family a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll talk more about those beautiful sunglasses the next time on the program. And hopefully, you guys can help them with the Christmas sales. Yeah, maybe they can boost them up.
Heck yeah. It's a pleasure being on the show with you guys. Merry Christmas and happy
Merry
holidays to
Christmas,
you.
All
Kyle.
right, buddy. Talk to you in the
We'll
new
chat
year.
in 2022. All
All
right.
right, see you.
See you guys.
All right, folks. That's Kyle Troup, the 2021 PBA Player of the Year. Went to him this past week. Let's bring in Mark Howell, who is the chairman of the College Football Committee in Indianapolis. Big, all the bowl games are starting up, but he's waiting for who's coming to Indianapolis in a couple weeks to play in the title game. So, Mark, thank you so much for coming on. Happy holidays. How's everything out there in Indianapolis?
No, it's awesome. Hey, thank you guys for having me back on. I really, really appreciate it. We're super excited. I mean, we have, what I believe to be the four best teams in the country competing for these final two spots. So no matter the outcome of the Orange Bowl or the Cotton Bowl, I think we're in awesome shape.
Yeah, it is. Top four teams. You got Cincinnati and Alabama in one in the Cotton Bowl,
Yeah.
and you got Michigan and Georgia in the other one. It could be Cincinnati and Michigan, and Cincinnati's only a couple of hours away from Indianapolis, right?
Yeah, but I mean, great Midwestern schools. Cincy's 2 hours away, Michigan's 3 hours away. We would love to have them there, but we're excited about Alabama. We're excited about Georgia. We from the very beginning really put a lot of confidence in the CFP selection process, the CFP selection committee, and so we were told early, trust the process, it will work. And lo and behold, we find ourselves in December with the four best teams in the country in the semifinals. And whatever happens in the Orange Bowl or the Cotton Bowl, they're going to produce two great winners, and we're going to see a great championship here in Indy on January 10th.
And also you have good game day week events. You got some concerts going on. You have a
Yeah.
former Alabama Birmingham quarterback and Sam Hunt, who I didn't realize he played against my Florida State Seminoles in 2007. And I found this on YouTube the other day. I was like, wow, this is old. And I was like he was better than he looked like he was a good quarterback during his college days. But I guess nobody in the NFL wanted to pick him up. But hey, not bad for a country singer.
That's awesome. Yeah, I tell you, everybody talks about the game on Monday night, but in Indianapolis, everything starts Friday afternoon with the arrivals of the team. So for us, it's a championship weekend that goes from Friday night until Tuesday morning, and we've got a fan fest. We've got media day. We're building a championship campus downtown. We've got 3 nights concerts, lots of parties planned. So we're gonna bring 100,000 people into Indianapolis for this championship weekend, and it's going to be a tremendous amount of fun. Not just a celebration of football, but just a celebration in general.
Yeah, I got to ask you, with all this stuff going on right now, the spike in everything that we're dealing with, this COVID-19, up in, what's the protocols for you guys to keep this thing from, we want to play these games. We don't
Sure.
want to, play virtual football on Madden, next week. So what's the protocol for you guys?
Yeah, well, we are obviously super sensitive to what's going on in the world around us. We have lots of contingency planning. Our top priority is to keep the athletes safe. And so from the minute they arrive in Indianapolis, through their departure, we've got a system created to keep them very safe. The people who are going to be in contact with them will all be tested, will be masked and such. So we want to ensure player safety, staff safety, family safety. And then we've also got contingency plans around the fan events as well. Even though we're a cold weather city, we're planning a tremendous amount of our activations and activities and concerts and everything outside. Again, just in the interest of safety.
Exactly. And I feel like that's what's going on around here. We just make sure that, people are not thinking about the holidays. They're just thinking like it's all back to 2019 and you can do whatever you want to do. And that's what's going on around here. People need to think about, hey, let's keep everybody safe and happy. And, we'll have, we continue, like you see right now, the National Hockey League is canceling for the holiday. They always do it for the holiday break anyway, but they're just doing it a little bit earlier.
And I just heard tonight that none of the NHL players are going to compete in the Beijing Olympics. That just came over the wire a few minutes ago. So, yeah, this is real. It's something that we're tremendously aware of and sensitive to. And right now our focus, let's get these teams, let's get these players, coaches, and their families safely through the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl. Let's get them to Indianapolis. While we're here, we're going to take good care of them. Mm-hmm. And we're going to field the two best teams in the country on January 10th. And we're going to see a tremendous football game, and we're going to crown a champion.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So speaking of the national anthem, you have this young lady, performing the national anthem, Natalie Grant. What was the process of picking people to do national anthems? Is John Mellencamp available? Because I know he's the guy that knows Indiana more than anybody else.
You know what, the college football playoff organization, which is based down in Dallas, has really rigorous protocols for picking talent. And I will tell you, we've got great people coming here. You already mentioned Sam Hunt, but we've got Doja Cat, we've got 21 Pilots. Now Natalie Grant coming to perform the national anthem. So although I'm not involved in that process, whatever the process is, it appears to be working very well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see a different diverse of music, in Indianapolis.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out.
You have these 3 nights of free live concerts, and we'll have tens of thousands of people out there each night. But if you look at the different genres and the different fan bases they appeal to, there's going to be something for everybody. Doja Cat brings her own, crowd, her own fan base, including several of my daughters. And then you got 21 Pilots, where myself and my friends are going to be fighting for front row. And then for the country music fans, Sam Hunt will lead us into the game on Monday afternoon.
It sounds like, and plus you also, besides music, you have different eating events going on, different stuff about the taste of the city, just to show people that there's more than cold football. There's good food in Indianapolis.
You know what? I mean, this is one of the best kept secrets in the world. But Indianapolis was just recently named one of the best foodie towns in the U.S. We've got great restaurants here, and on Sunday night we're hosting a Taste of the Championship, where 30 Indianapolis restaurants and their chefs are going to be serving up food to all of the fans visiting the city. It's called Taste of the Championship, and having been to some of the previous CFP championships game, I will tell you this Taste of the Championship party on Sunday night is a blast. It's really awesome.
Wow, that's cool. Any local people like I know the Colts are probably really heavily influenced helping you guys out. Are they going to stop at any Colt greats going to stop by and to help out? Is there any like Mr. Irsay or?
Yeah, well, the Irsay family has been unbelievably generous. The Colts have been incredibly gracious, just in terms of how they've supported us in our fundraising activities, making their practice facility available to one of the two teams, so that they've got a practice facility while they're in town. Kaylee Irsay has been very involved in our host committee, so we've gotten great support from the Colts. But I will also tell you, we've gotten incredible support from the Pacers and the Simon family. They've also been generous as we went through our fundraising, the support that they provided to our host committee. The Indianapolis sports community is fully behind this.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great little town, and you got the Pacers, Colts.
We're a sports town. I mean, we've got the Indy Fuel, we've got a hockey team, we've got the Indianapolis Indians, we've got a AAA baseball team, we've got the Indy 11, so we've got a great soccer club, professional soccer club here, and then the Pacers and the Colts. We've got big motorsports, and then we claim to be, only because we are, the amateur sports capital of the world, and with NCAA championships, Final Fours, and such. This is a sports city. And the 100,000 people who come here for championship weekend are going to leave here knowing why.
Yeah. And also, when him and I grew up watching, we used to watch bowling on TV. Indianapolis is actually a home for the Professional Bowler Store. They had some of the U.S. Open, some of the Woodward Bowl down the street from you guys.
Sure. So I was listening to you guys before I came on, and I really enjoyed what I was hearing. So I had a question I wanted to ask you guys. Have you ever heard of the name Nick Hoagland? Nick Hoagland.
No, never heard of
it. So Nick Hoagland, who's a good friend of mine, he is considered to be the Pete Dye of bowling. And Nick is based here, but any major bowling tournament in the United States, they bring Nick in to oil and prepare all of the lanes before those tournaments. Yeah. And Nick is based here. So yeah, we've got great bowling history as well.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'll talk to Tom Clark, the commissioner, and I'll ask him if he knows him, and maybe we get.
He knows. Yeah, he knows Nick. When Nick comes into town, they provide him security. He is the man the bowlers love to hate, depending on how he prepares the lanes.
Exactly.
Go
ahead.
Maybe that was my mistake. Every time when I go out on bowling, I had a bad night. I just figured, wait, did he come in here and do these lanes or something?
No, it's just you have your mother looking like, well, you're rushing, calm it down, where's the fire? So I'm like, okay, Mom, calm it down, you get in that moment, So, Mark, where can people go to get more information about? I know they could go to the college football website, football championship website. There's more stuff, but where can people go to start getting hotels? Because I know right now everybody's trying to figure out: should I go? Should I stay? Should I?
Go. Let me tell you what. The place to go is Indy Football 2022. INDYfootball2022.com, and that'll even provide you links if you need to get to CFP, and see what all the events are as you begin to look at accommodations and ways to manage that weekend. INDYfootball2022.com.
Okay, I think I got it right there. Yeah, there we go. INDYfootball22.com, and then they'll direct everybody in the right place. And there's a lot of hotels and.
So we'll put 60 to 70,000 people in the stands, but we're expecting 100,000 people. So, there's a lot of good reasons to come to Indy that weekend. If you come to Media Day on Saturday, you get really up close contact with players and coaches. On Media Day, as an example, almost all of the activities, FanFest. The AT&T Playoff List Live, and all of those things are free to the public. So anybody who's in Indy that weekend will have plenty of fun things to do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully get out there and get approved and talk to Mr. Grumpy, Nick Saban, because I talked to him on the video a couple weeks ago, and he was like this.
Yeah, I will tell you, look how fortunate we are to have these 4 super cool coaches. Yeah. I mean, look, Nick Saban, potentially the greatest of all time, or on his way to become that. Kirby Smart, huge personality, looking for redemption against Alabama. Jim Harbaugh, AP Coach of the Year, kind of restoring the iconic legacy of Michigan football, and
Mhm.
Luke Fickell, he's the hottest young coach in college football right now. So we whichever two of those four guys show up, they're going to bring a lot of energy and a lot of fun and a lot of quotable moments.
Yeah, you might see his brother John, who's here in Baltimore, who I got to say he's doing a good job. Trying to go for 2 the other day.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you guys about that because I know you're in Baltimore. So I loved that decision despite the outcome. Where were you guys on that?
I thought it was a smart move, but I think they shouldn't throw it to Mark Andrews. They knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like if you're the defense, Mark Andrews was tearing you up. You're going to throw that guy. I think he should have gone out to the left side and just walk it in as like there's nobody on the left side. If you look at that play, it was all to the right. There was nothing to the left. Yeah. So you should just do the old naked bootleg. My dad used to say what the Packers used to do. Just go the left side and go right in.
Does Baltimore love John Harbaugh as much as the folks in the Midwest love John Harbaugh?
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good popular guy around here.
Yep, they live and breathe Ravens football, and they just they died by Ravens football because if there was a problem, you can hear the sports talk the next day. It's like it's completely like, all right, let's turn the channel here.
But John's a good man.
Yeah, he is. Well, Mark, I want to wish you and your family and everybody there at the host committee a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I hope to see you guys. Hope if you get a phone call from the college football playoff people, we're going to be heading out there.
Okay. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you again, and happy holidays to both of you and your families as well.
Well, take it easy.
You too. Have a good Christmas.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
See ya. All right, that's Mark Howell, the college football playoff 22 host committee chairman here on the Sports Talk here with Chris Heidel. Today at 8:02, let's bring in Travis Jones, who's going to be down in Annapolis the week of Christmas week. He'll be broadcasting the Military Bowl between East Carolina and Boston College, who've never seen each other before. That's the first meeting they ever. They're going to be on the football field down there at the naval base. So, Travis, thanks for joining us. How's everything? Good job last week with that game down there in Atlanta against Deion Sanders. Was that pretty cool to see that thing he brought on the field? That was pretty neat.
I'll tell you, he, I'm sure you're speaking of the battery powered 3-wheeler he brought out.
Exactly. Where did you get that from?
Of course, he's had foot surgery for people that didn't know, so he's unable to stand on both feet. Doctor's orders to keep him off his left foot. So the interesting thing I mentioned to DJ Shockley, who was on the broadcast with me, a former Georgia quarterback. We watched him in the stretch line, and he was zipping around and, went through and high-fived all the players. And I was like, boy, if you're a player, he was moving on that thing. Like, if I'm a little worried that Prime might run me over here a little bit. Then he switched into that little 2-wheel cart during the game. That was certainly didn't see that coming. I mean, South Carolina State 10-point dog in that game, and they just had a legit defense and played extremely well. And you guys, it was really fun just to watch that celebration. And I've looked at the bowl attendances so far, and that celebration bowl, 49,000 people, far and away the largest attended bowl, and might that might stay that way till we get to the college football playoffs.
Exactly. I agree with you. And South Carolina State, they did play. I looked at their schedule. They did play against Clemson. And I know Clemson ran them out of Death Valley down there in South Carolina. But playing against Clemson, they did experience tough matchups.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We're seeing the portal, already big, not only in the HBCUs, but did the Myrtle Beach Bowl yesterday, and Old Dominion and Tulsa, and I looked at Old Dominion's starting defense, and they had 5 D1 transfer portal guys on their defense. So, we're seeing that. We're seeing the big names, certainly Spencer Rattler, moving from one Power 5 to another. But I think this portal is really going to have a bigger effect long term on some of these mid-major teams, because it's an opportunity to basically get experienced guys, not have to go the JUCO route,
Right.
get experienced Division I Power 5 guys. And, look at Baylor. Baylor was a bad football team last year, won 2 games. This year, they get 5, 6 real good Power 5 transfers out of the portal, win the Big 12.
Yeah, exactly. And now they're on to the Sugar Bowl playing Ole Miss, so that's going to be a good game there. So, talk about how'd you get involved with the with the network? How'd you get involved? Because I know you're out in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of stuff with Fairmont State University. I actually covered a game a long time ago. Bowie State made a trip out there a long, long time ago. And it was you guys had a nice stadium out there. I still remember how, the press box was so professional and all that stuff. So let's talk about you coming from West Virginia, with that program. Now you're doing some radio calls for network.
Yeah. So I worked at WVU for 14 years and have just done some various things. And actually so the way that it works is ESPN Events runs most of these minor, we call them, the minor bowls, the non-New Year's 6 day bowls. So they have the radio rights. So basically, ESPN Radio doesn't want to have to do all the games. So they bid those rights out.
Okay.
So First Team Radio is the company that was founded by Mike Parsons, who's a former athletic director at West Virginia, and also Brian Estridge, who's the play-by-play voice at TCU. So they went together, started a company, bid and won the rights to these bowl games, and continue to add some. I think we're doing 14 this year as a company. So it's contract work. It's great. It's fun for me because I get an opportunity to go to some of these very cool cities and get to experience some of these teams. And I've never been to Annapolis before, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the Navy Marine Corps Stadium coming up on Monday, and then I hop a plane and go to Birmingham and get an opportunity on Tuesday to do the Birmingham Bowl. And UAB's got a brand new stadium that they moved the Birmingham Bowl to this year. It used to be at historic Legion Field. Right. And I always say, when they say a stadium's historic, that means that it's a dump. Legion Field has certainly seen better days. So yeah, I know the Birmingham Bowl was excited to get that bowl moved.
Yeah, I heard that's like an old field that, Alabama used to play Iron Bowl games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's been some incredible games played there over the years, but I don't think they haven't sunk a dollar in that place in a long time.
Yeah, I was doing the high school football one time up here in Maryland at one of the high schools, and they had a press box before they got the new press box, and they had a huge hole right in the middle of the press box. And I'm like, okay, what are we supposed to do with this? They're like, don't fall through. I'm like,
stick your crowd mic through it, right?
Okay. It's like, does anybody see this as a hazard?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you do high school long enough, you'll run into a lot of things. Absolutely.
Exactly. But now here, in Maryland, they got new, facilities, new press box, the same press box for everybody. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, great.
Let's talk about this game against the Military Bowl. ECU, who I know Coach Mike Houston very much from his days at JMU.
Yeah.
Before that, he was at the Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been changing his offense over the years, because I know when he was at the Citadel, he took on Florida State and he ran more option. And I said to him, like, when you were at the Citadel, you did more option, and then when you came to JMU, you just completely changed your the way of thinking. So what do you see what he did does he bring both what he learned at the Citadel and JMU to East Carolina?
Yeah, I think they're pretty balanced. And as you mentioned, he's an interesting guy because he has had a tremendous amount of success, not only at JMU, but, going back to his Division II days at Lenore-Ryan down in North Carolina, which is a great Division II program. But they are very balanced. East Carolina, they're an interesting program when you look at them because they've had some pretty good success. They have some very, very good coaches have gone to there. I go back to Steve Logan days, and they've had some great talent come through there. And of course, you look at them now, and I think that they're playing tremendous football right now. They've won 4 out of their last 5. And on the flip side of that, Boston College, I always say in these type of games, it's sometimes the team that wants to be in these bowls the worst, that have the most success. And you kind of look at how the ebb and flow has gone to the season coming into it. And I think East Carolina, at least on paper, looks like it will be the team that will be more motivated to play in a military bowl, considering that they've had success late in the season. As you guys know, being in ACC country, Boston College got off to a great start at 4-0, and the wheels has kind of came off after they lost to Clemson, got into the meat of their schedule, took on Clemson, and then North Carolina State, but they lost 4 in a row and lost 6 of their final 8, including a loss to Wake Forest in their last game. So I think it's going to be interesting, from Boston College's standpoint. They're not an explosive offense. These teams, I think, are very similar. You look at their numbers; they're both averaging right around 30 points per game. They're both averaging right around 395 in total offense. So I do think motivation, which team wants to play this game the worst, has an advantage.
Well, I think with Boston College, they had 2 separate seasons. When they started 4-0, and then Phil, their quarterback, went down with a broken wrist, and everybody was thinking, okay, they're done. They're not going to go to a bowl game, and Jeff is a good coach up there in Boston College. He came from Ohio State, so he's young and he knows how to get his play. He reminds me like a young Jimbo Fisher, a little more feisty, a little more like he wants to get his players played better, and a nice guy to talk to in media day too as well. But and then Phil comes back for the Florida State game, or I think week before that, no, the Pitt game. I think he came before the Pitt or whatever game, and then now they're in a bowl game. They're very lucky they're in a bowl game. It's really good that they made sure they had those 2 wins to get there.
Yeah, kind of backed their way in. They got bowl eligible against Georgia Tech, but then lost their final 2 against Florida State and in Wake Forest. And BC's again, being from West Virginia and having followed the Big East, BC, Syracuse, these type of teams, but really Boston College in particular, they've not had the success in the ACC that they experienced in the Big East, certainly. So I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think that they're still a program, and really it's this way across the board for them: men's basketball, women's basketball, football. If you look at the major, revenue programs, they've had to. They've had lukewarm success in the ACC, and I don't know if it's maybe a recruiting-based thing that's changed for them or not, but certainly getting down into the Baltimore, Annapolis area with a ton of talent, I think is going to be big for them to be able to get down there and play in front of some potential recruits.
I think the thing is the ACC is so well balanced.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and you're fighting for other recruits. Like when you're in the Big East, it was Boston College. Because I remember as a kid growing up with Boston College, Miami, Pittsburgh, all the Virginia Tech was in there as well.
Yeah, West Virginia, Miami, yeah,
and Miami in that Hale Flutie game that my brother doesn't talk about, because he's a Miami Hurricane fan, so we don't mention that.
Don't talk about that.
He actually saw Doug Flutie. He went out to South Bend a couple of years ago, and I was out there with him, and I was like, "You saw Doug Flutie on the field? What'd you do?" He goes, "Nothing." I was like, "I know you wanted to tackle him." He goes, "Yeah, I do." Like you ruined your childhood right there. That guy ruined your childhood, buddy. With that Hail Mary, but. But I feel like when they got both of them all came to the ACC, it's been well balanced, and you see it in, like you said, in basketball. It's been like, they've been trying to get back to where they were, and now they have Earl Grant, who is a good coach from college from Charleston, who I met a lot in the CAA. He could turn that program around. It just takes time. That's what it is.
It does, and they're again. They're not unlike East Carolina in the sense, but probably more so. I mean, there's not a ton of players in their backyard, so they have to go into other people's backyards to win players. West Virginia runs into that a lot, certainly in the Big 12. West Virginia is a small state of 1.7 million, and in a good year, it will produce 5 Division I Power 5 players in a year. I think Boston College runs into that a little bit. BC, back when they were good, they were doing a real good job in Pennsylvania in terms of recruiting, but they were getting the scraps, from Penn State and Pitt, and Syracuse would get in there as well. And even Western Pennsylvania football has fallen off here in terms of the amount of recruits that it used to produce. So I do think that's interesting in terms of Boston College. I'm going to be excited to kind of jump into their roster and start to look and see where they're getting players from now that they're in the ACC.
Exactly. Well, Travis, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoy. What's your plans for this week? Are you heading out to any of these other games before Christmas, or are you staying home for a little bit?
No, we're actually we've got other games, but I'm back home and going to be here through Sunday, and then head over to Annapolis, and then head down to Birmingham on Monday night after the game, and call that game on Tuesday. So looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Well, when you get to Annapolis, there's some good food around, in that area. If you have to, some great, restaurants and malls and all that stuff, and
Awesome.
You'll find some good food there.
No, I don't doubt it. Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to
Merry
you.
Christmas.
And if anybody wants to listen to your broadcast, where can they find it? Because I know people in Maryland, I don't think even on any station.
Yeah, Sirius XM channel 84.
Okay.
It's also available on the TuneIn app and also the Varsity app, which is the new Learfield IMG app.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, "Who's the Varsity app?" I'm like, "Who's that?"
It's brand new. They just rolled it out this year. So
That's cool. That's awesome.
it's free. So that's if it's free, it's for me, right?
It's free for everybody. It's
Just
great.
like Jerry Coleman says.
Free. Yeah.
Yep. Free.
Exactly. All right, Travis. Thank
Thank you.
so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
You too.
See
Thank
ya.
you.
That's
All
funny.
right.
It's exactly like what Jerry Coleman says. That's his moniker.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
It's free, it's me.
It's free to me. That was Travis Jones from the First Team Radio. You can listen to that game on XM 84, on the day of the 20th. Let me see what the date is here for this game. Let's bring it up here. I had it here. Hold on.
I think it was the 24th.
The 27th, of this year. It's at 2:30 on ESPN if you want to watch it on TV. Let's give you a program reminder coming up at 8:35 here on the program. Our good friend and our good buddy who loves to join us, Dave Ryan, will be joining us. If you want to stick around for that at 8:35 for Dave Ryan, he'll be joining us. We'll talk bowling, college football, you name it. He'll talk about anything. He actually did another sport last week.
It was lacrosse.
Yeah, does lacrosse as well. Plus, he did some martial arts last week. So,
That's a bit odd.
yeah, I'm going to ask him about that as well. So, Dave Ryan will be joining us at 8:35. So, if you want to tune in, but we'll have this gentleman right here who covers everything down there in the Triangle in the beautiful state of North Carolina. Dave Glenn. Hi, Dave. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Good to be with you again.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all you guys down there. So, the ACC has a lot of teams in the bowl games this year, but they're playing against teams that they never played before. This is going to be a very interesting bowl season for the ACC.
Yeah, it's kind of starts with a disappointment for the ACC because this is the first year of the college football playoff format that the ACC has not been represented in the playoff. So I like how you're looking at it. Glass half full, good matchups. In some cases, guys who could have opted out have decided to play.
Mm-hmm.
So, there might be some shootouts, offensive fireworks, if you will. So even in a year where the ACC kind of fell out of the national spotlight in football, and even right now a little bit in basketball, there's going to be a lot of fun here during the holidays.
Yeah, let's talk about one of the games, the Holiday Bowl coming up. You got UCLA and North Carolina State, and these two teams haven't played since I don't think any of us were born. They played out in LA in 1959 and 1960. I guess, is there any footage of that?
Probably not, right? I mean, heck, that's around the time before certainly color television, but maybe even TV was one of those things where you might have had to run to your neighbor's house just to watch a game. That was before TV exploded. Around here, there are Wolfpack fans that do remember way back when John Wooden was coaching UCLA, there were some really famous UCLA-NC State basketball matchups. But, yeah, I certainly wasn't alive for any of these football matchups. I'll just say this for the Wolfpack. They have won 10 or more games only one time in the history of the program, and that was a Phillip Rivers team in the early 2000s. Wow. If they beat UCLA, the Wolfpack will get to 10 wins. So, a lot of people have that theory about whichever team cares more in a bowl is usually going to be the team that wins. There's no doubt in my mind that this Wolfpack team cares for a lot of reasons, and one of them is they're trying to make school history.
Yeah, that's true. And like you said, Phillip Rivers, who's doing a great job as a high school coach, who, for his son, but I feel like he might be moving up sometime down the road, maybe as a college coach. I could see him be like a Deion Sanders, picking some school, just to coach.
Hey, file that away. You never know. Maybe his own alma mater, NC State, one day will need one.
Exactly. Let's talk about we were just got done talking about the Military Bowl. We've been doing a lot of that around here. Let's talk about the Sun Bowl. These two schools played each other back in 2015 in a snowstorm in El Paso. And I talked to Bernie Olivas, the executive director, a couple of weeks ago on this show, and I said to him, are you going to seriously pick Miami? And he goes, well, we might. I'm like, the last time you had Miami there, twice you had Miami in a snowstorm. And he goes, yeah, no. Miami and snow don't mix. That's like me drinking, some other, product besides iced tea that doesn't mix, but it's like, it's like, but just talk about that game. Washington State, who had a lot of turmoil this year.
Yeah.
They fired a coach because he didn't want to take a COVID-19 shot. And then you got Miami, who did something really bad to Manny Diaz, who basically is like you, Glenn. If you go to work tomorrow, somebody's going to look at you and go, well, we're going to fire you at 10. And we're going to hire somebody at 10 o'clock and 10:30. These two schools are looking for some identity, on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, and the weird part for the Canes is, some of these exiting coaches do hang around to coach the bowl. And in this particular case, neither Manny Diaz nor the new incoming Miami head coach, Mario Cristobal, the former Cane who came from Oregon to take over for Diaz, neither of those guys is going to be running the show. So it's going to be a weird dynamic, I think, for both of those squads. You kind of have, just promoted assistants running the show for the Canes. They do have a really dynamic young quarterback named Tyler Van Dyke. For those who haven't seen him, remember De'Aaron King was the Miami quarterback to start the season. He got hurt. So almost by necessity, they had to try Van Dyke. And by the end of the season, he was cranking out 300-yard passing games as if they were Christmas cookies. So there's some talent there at Miami, and this might be one of those games that you see a lot of points.
Yeah, I got to talk to the weather people down there in El Paso because I'm playing the last time they played each other. It's going to snow. I checked the forecast, and it's supposed to be like nothing right now for Christmas, but you never know. These weather events might show up with another snowstorm.
Yeah, that's it. What's that game's still quite a ways away. I don't trust weather forecasts more than about 48 hours out. So I certainly can't trust them 10 days out. Yeah.
Let's talk about Clemson taking on Iowa State. Clemson, normally this time of year they're getting ready for a college football playoff game. Now they're playing in down there in Orlando for the Cheez-It Bowl against Iowa State. How are you going to get people? How is Dabo going to get his players fired up, saying, "Okay, you're in a bowl game, but this is not the Orange Bowl or the Sugar Bowl or whatever bowl."
Give them a bag of Cheez-Its to start.
Yeah, right. Dabo's a good motivator. I'll give him that. I know this. Dabo is proud of the consistency of the program. In other words, of course, the starting point is 2 national championships plus other appearances in the college football playoff. But as we speak, and remember, Clemson is 9-3 going into that game. The Tigers have, I believe it is a 10 consecutive year streak of 10 or more wins. Now, again, they're most proud of 15-0 or 14-1, but even 10-3 keeps that streak going. And they've also finished in the national top 25 10 straight years. And if they lose this game and they're 9-4, they're not going to finish in the national top 25. So those sound like small, presents under the Christmas tree, so to speak. But I think Dabo has a really good way of finding those things. And remember, the Clemson quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, has a lot to prove. He's had a bad year by Clemson standards. They found a freshman running back named Will Shipley. So he wants to, keep his momentum going. So I think Clemson will find enough. A guy named James Skalski is their senior linebacker. This is his swan song. So I know he's so well respected by his teammates. Maybe you find one more point of motivation to say, let's send this guy who gave his heart, blood, sweat, and tears to this program out in style. I'm not sure which buttons Dabo's going to find to push, but I'd be surprised if Clemson went out there and laid an egg.
Yeah, I feel like they might, lay an egg. And plus, with Clemson, they don't have their offensive or defensive coordinator anymore. They all went to different places, So, Dabo's by himself now with 2 new coordinators. And, it's going to take time for those two to gel into what Dabo wants to do.
It's a strange time at Clemson because his athletic director left as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a head college football coach, three of the most important people in your world are your AD, your offensive coordinator, and your defensive coordinator. Dabo just lost all three. And Radakovich left for Miami within the ACC. So it's kind of a weird sequence of events. Tony Elliott took the UVA head coaching job. Brent Venables took the Oklahoma head coaching job. So it's not like there's alarm bells when your top assistants get promoted to be head coaches. You know, that means you had pretty good assistant coaches. But it'll be interesting to see if his promotions from within to fill those slots work. And in the longer haul, it'll be interesting to see if Dabo is happy with the new athletic director.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about another ACC game. This is up at Yankee Stadium. I had a chance to talk to the Virginia Tech coach today, and I told him about the right porch at Yankee Stadium. It's a launching pad for home runs during the baseball seasons. And I asked him, what are you going to do for the football? Because those winds up there in Yankee Stadium kind of swirl in different directions. And he goes, thanks for that tip. I appreciate that. I saw the Yankee guy on the call look at me going, yeah, but it's the truth. Up there at Yankee Stadium is like a launch pad for home runs. And I was there for a Notre Dame Syracuse game a couple of years ago, and that place is downright cold. And if breeze comes in that area, it's going to make some havoc on the field goal kicking down near center field.
Yeah, having been to Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, Virginia, I can tell you that is one of the coldest, windiest places I have ever been. So maybe the Hokies, if they end up with weird weather, they might be more prepared than most for that. The weirdest part of that Virginia Tech-Maryland matchup is that the Hokies have more missing players than maybe any team in a bowl. They have guys who have entered the transfer portal and will not play. They have guys who are turning pro and opting out to protect against injuries. They're in a really weird, obviously they have a new head coach. So it's all sorts of weird for Virginia Tech as they head to that matchup against Maryland. That to me is about as hard a game to predict because, there's a dozen of the Hokies better players who are not going to be there.
Yeah, that's true. And I heard one of them wanted to play and they told him, sorry, you're already in the transfer portal. You can't play the quarterback. I'm like, you got to decide this stuff, dude. You want to play in the bowl game or do you want to go in the transfer portal? If you want to play the bowl game, you wait till the end of the bowl game to be in the transfer portal. Yeah, you don't do it. You can't have both.
I think he needed that advice from you about 10 days ago.
Exactly. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I hope you and your family has a great holiday season. It's college bowl games starting, like they're playing right now as we speak. I think it's the one in Frisco, Texas. That's it looks like a pretty decent game right now. But we got bowl games now until January 10th, so enjoy.
Hey, great to be with y'all. Keep up the good work.
All right, thanks, Dave. Have a good one.
You got it. You too. See you guys.
Yeah. That's Dave Glenn, who part of the Dave Glenn Show. If you're down there in the triangle of North Carolina where your parents are, they call it the triangle because we have Rowley and you have
Wake Forest.
Yeah.
You have UNC State.
Yeah.
North Carolina State. And as my parents say, whenever there's a big rivalry down there, whether it's NC State, Wake Forest, or North Carolina State, or whatever.
Yeah.
Said the whole state shuts down.
And you told me one time that they, when they have a game on TV, say Duke in North Carolina, it's actually they put it on regular TV, and it's like almost like a Ravens football game. They, move they move everything back to like on.
Oh yeah, if there's something on that channel that's on that channel where they're going to put the game on, forget it. It's going to be placed. They're going to have that game on that channel.
Exactly. So let's, folks, we're going to take a trip to. We don't have to leave our confines of the living room. We're rolling out to beautiful Hawaii right now. We got Stephen, who writes for the good old Stephen. I can't pronounce your last name if I could try.
It's Tsai, just like Tsai.
I was going to make sure I got it right today. But I was like,
see, I didn't know I was going to be on with Met fans. I whipped out my Hernandez shirt, my Daryl Strawberry.
Hey, Sid Hernandez from
Strawberry.
Yeah, El Cid. He's from Hawaii, so that's not bad. So. Stephen, thank you so much for coming on tonight. How's the weather out there? I know here in Maryland it's like 45 degrees and windy. Please tell everybody what's the temperature like out there in Hawaii.
Well, it's really cold over here. We're burning furniture. I think it's 77 degrees. We're okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So talk about this big bowl game on Christmas Eve. Memphis is in town against the state school of Hawaii, who stayed home. It's probably good for them to stay home. And they're not playing at the stadium that everybody saw the Pro Bowl in. They're playing at where are they playing?
It's called Ching Field. It's on the campus. It actually was a 2,000 seat or 3,000 seat facility, but because there were structural problems with the Lowe's Stadium, they're going to tear that down eventually, and they're going to build a new stadium. But for now, they're on campus. So they built the stadium up this year. It's about 9,000 seats on campus, and it's supposed to go up to maybe 18 next year, and just going up until the new stadium is ready. But the problem with the old stadium, the Lowe's Stadium, where the Pro Bowl was, is that they believe that you can build a metal stadium and it would rust to a certain point, then stop. It's kind of like cancer, just stopping all of a sudden. Just kept rusting and rusting. And now, they're finding they need a new place to stay. So I mean, it should be interesting. It'll be a very intimate setting for Maryland. I mean, for Memphis, Maryland too, if they want to come down.
Did he move the flea market? Because my parents and I went out there a couple years ago. They had a flea market there at the stadium, and it was a huge flea market. I mean, my dad talks about it all the time. This is
it's a great. The big swap meet it's a great thing. In fact, I think there's one point where they actually made more money outside the stadium than inside the stadium. But at the beginning, if you went to the swap meet, you find the television that someone stole from your house. But now it's set up. It's like a real big deal, and it's kind of incredible. And even though they're not playing games inside, they're still selling things outside that may or may not be gold.
Well, talk about Memphis coming to town. They're coming from the American Conference, the American Athletic Conference, or AAC. I know Hawaii doesn't play against any of these. The last time I had you guys, you took on UCLA in the first game of the year. What did you see?
Yeah, that didn't go very well.
Yeah, it didn't go really well. I saw the score. I'm like, ooh, I'm like, that's not good.
I think Chip took it easy on them too. So it was a little rough, but. Then they played Portland State, and they got a little rougher when they played Oregon State. And then it's been kind of an up and down year. And actually, Hawaii's not supposed to have been in a bowl. They finished 6-7. They play an extra game because they're out in Hawaii and they need teams to come out. And they finished 6-7. But then the NCAA said there were 83 qualifying teams, and they wanted to make sure that everybody got a bowl. So they created another bowl game. And then Hawaii was next up at 6-7, so they got the 84th spot. So. This is actually the second time it's happened. That happened in 2016, and they beat, I think, Middle Tennessee that year in the Hawaii Bowl.
Yeah, is it good for the home team, the Hawaii, the university, to stay home to show folks that you can play a bowl game in Hawaii besides going to a different state to play? Because I know last year you guys had to go down to took on Houston in a different, like, New Mexico Bowl or something like that.
Yeah, it was the New Mexico Bowl played in Frisco, Texas, and all people heard was Frisco, and they go, "Hey, great, we're going to see the Golden Gate Bridge." They didn't know they were going to go to Frisco, Texas.
No, you see Jerry World down the street. That's what he said. That's almost like,
yeah, so that was a little bit interesting, and also because of the COVID restrictions last year, when they went to that bowl game, they were fed food like in their rooms, and they'd eat out cards and things. It was kind of a strange, kind of a weird deal, and there was no fans in the stadium. So and that was a problem in Hawaii. Hawaii's protocols are so strict that I think their first 4 home games, they played 6 home games this year, but the first 4 were played without fans. So it was a little bit tough. But,
I was going to ask you about it, because back when we talked back in the summertime, Hawaii was very to shut things down, tell people to stay away, don't come here. That
was the governor's visitor plan, where you tell people don't come now, and then but it didn't work. It didn't work. People still came.
And a couple of weeks ago, you guys had snow. How did you? What in the wide world of sports is going on here? Snow in Hawaii.
Yeah, we've got really large mountains here. So at the very, very top, we have snow. So actually, that's kind of interesting. They're actually putting one of these big, huge telescopes, but there's so much protest about people, that didn't want those things up, desecrate their land. So that hasn't worked out. So, but it's kind of interesting over here. But they have a new CSI in Hawaii, so I think things are starting to pick up. And Adam Sandler is about due for another movie. I think he makes a movie every year here.
Yeah. Well, Coach from Memphis used to be on Coach Graham's staff at Arizona State, so this is basically the pupil taking on the his almost like a father and son situation. Let's see how he matches up to the guy who hired him at Arizona State. So
I think he came at a really good time for Coach, because he at that point I think he's between jobs and he really needs something, and Graham hired him as a I think an offensive analyst. I'm not sure what that is, but I think you get paid or something like that. And then he used that and he parlayed that to get back into the college game. So I think it kind of worked out for him too. But and I think Coach Graham takes kind of a lot of pride in all these former assistants and offensive analysts getting jobs all over the place. I think he's up to about 12 former staff members who are now head coaches, including the Oregon coach, and then some guy just got some head coaching job at a Word of Incarcenet. I don't know what it is, but somewhere where they need a head coach. And GJ Kinney, who used to play for him in Tulsa, and then I think he was with the Eagles for a little bit. He found a head coaching job there.
That's cool. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for coming on. I know, sorry for the late night text, because I'm here in Maryland, so it's not trying to wake you up this morning. Because I know nobody wants an 8 o'clock in the morning text message. I don't want 8
Well,
o'clock.
if I knew it was a guy wearing a Mets cap, sure, anytime. You're too young to look like you remember when they were really good and very bad.
Hey, I was 6 years old when they won the title in '86 with El Cid and Dwight Gooden and Gary Carter.
El Cid's still a hero out here. He's a big time guy. Everyone still loves him, and I don't think he's worked since then.
I would love to get El Cid on. I'm sorry, I would love to get El Cid on my program, because my brother and I used to watch him, left-handed, and how he came in and he's quiet, didn't really talk, and then he came to Baltimore, this last couple of years, and we were trying to figure out how old he was. Like, how old is El Cid? We don't know. It's almost like Valenzuela. He was probably like 90 when he was pitching in 1982, probably. Yeah.
Well, yeah, El Cid was kind of the hairiest guy we ever knew. So, but anyway, yeah, if he's ever running him, I'll just tell him to give you guys a call.
Yeah, give him my email and I'll send it over to you, and just get him on. That'll be cool. So awesome. All right, Stephen, have a Merry Christmas, and all that stuff.
Okay, we got to put on sunscreen now. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, bye. All right, Stephen Tsai, who writes for the Honolulu Star-Advertiser out there in beautiful Hawaii, or it's actually Hawaii. Yeah, I have to pronounce it better.
It's actually Hawaii.
Hawaii.
That's how you say it.
Yeah, we know this guy right here goes to Hawaii a lot. His name is Dave Ryan, who goes all over the place. So, Dave, thanks for joining us. I got a question for you.
Sure.
This week, what sport were you doing?
This past week, I did BYB Extreme, Chris, and that is bare knuckle boxing. I've been a part of that platform for a couple of years now.
Okay.
It's run out of Miami by a guy, president of the company is Mike Vasquez. And it's a very intense confrontational combat sports arena, to say the least. Mm-hmm. It is 22 by 22 by 22. It's a trigon.
Okay.
So it's a triangular ring. If you want to say it that way. I mean, you can't say triangle ring in the same sentence, but that's the fighting surface. So these guys and women get out there for the first few fights I was involved, they had an actual glove that was required. When knuckles were exposed, but around the hand and the wrist, you could have a glove. Now they don't. Now the Florida Gaming Commission has changed that. So for fights held in Florida, you just need a wrap. And they hit each other, as you might imagine, incredibly hard. So I've been a part of that for a while. I've done combat sports in my career before, and it is we had a heavyweight fight that ended in about 45 seconds and another super cruiserweight that ended in 15 seconds. So there can be some intense knockouts
kind of like
right off the bat, as you might imagine. It's pretty wild. It's really fun to be a part of because it's so intense and the fighters are cool, and they're doing it on a lot of these platforms. They do it for the love of fighting. They're not doing it to make a living.
Yeah.
They have another job. Like we had a guy from Wales who came from the UK. He's a roofer in Wales, and he took a 9-hour flight from Heathrow to Miami International, and his fight lasted. He won in 15 seconds. So he flew 9 hours to fight for 15 seconds. And they flew right back the next morning. I mean, not a bad payday. Not pretty good use of your time. But it's a blast. It's a lot of fun, and it's always great to be on the air. My motto, Chris, as you know, is any sport, anytime. Doesn't matter what it is. I love
exactly. It. I know, but I'm like, that's not bowling. You know, that's not
what is he doing now? Someone the other day, I put that on Twitter. A couple of the video clips. I put some more up today, and someone said, "Dave, you're a walking adventure. What are you gonna be doing next?" I'm like, what do you got?
What do you got? You know,
I'll do it.
Yeah. Beginning of the program, we had Kyle Troup on. You know, you were part of the Professional Bowlers Tour on Fox. You know, this coming up 2022 is the third year of it on Fox, or I think the fourth year or third year, something like that. But you know, what's the relationship like with Fox? It seems like they enjoy having bowling on, and they're doing the best they can to put it out there.
Yeah, it's the best and biggest schedule ever in 2022, Chris. So I think everyone's on both parties. Are extremely excited. I know I'll be doing a few shows, whatever Rob Stone can't do as usual. And you know me, man, I love the sport. I was happy. I actually sent Kyle a text today. It was way overdue, but glad to get it out. And, you know, he's the best. Deserved player of the year for sure. I mean, there's really no question he was going to win it. So many firsts for him in his career in 2021, and good on him. He's a great dude, as you know. He's so generous with his time, and he's an immensely talented guy. My big question for 2022 is Belmo. Means he can be back. Is how well will he bowl? What's his level going to be? Having been away so long, and when he was competing in the States, he wasn't the same Belmo.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen? I mean, I think there are a lot of great storylines and great questions.
Exactly, and we have a cat decided to show up here for a minute. That's one of our cats here in the house.
Baby down here, so we got a 9-month-old down here.
We got a lot of wildlife in this place, but yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah, we have no idea. It just shows up. Yeah, waiting for the dog to show up now. But anyway, let's talk about this year in bowling. We saw some cool stuff. You know, back-to-back 300 games on TV by Chris, who basically was in the Player of the Year race. You know, and then you had the 7-10 split made on television, and we talked about Mark Roth passing away. You know, a couple weeks ago. That's the man who started, making the 7-10 on TV. So it's pretty interesting that, in the year of bowling, we lose Mark Roth, but we bring back stuff that he used to do.
I would say historic. Chris, to me, having the tour back at all, having fans. Luckily, I was able to go to Portland and do all those shows this year in May, and I'd never been to Bayside, and it was so cool. My 9-month-old was pulling me down. He may tackle me. He's a big boy. There's some highlights. It was just so amazing to be a part of it again. To see guys like Sam do so well. There were a lot of surprise stories, but to me the biggest was the return of the fans and the return of the energy of the sport that we needed so badly. Losing Mark Roth was just incredibly painful when it did happen. When I did hear the news, I sent a text to Marshall Holman right away, and they were very close. That 7-10 split from Anthony was absolutely unforgettable. I think you and I may have talked about it after he made that, Chris, that I probably have called in my career. I'm going to put it around 50 or 75 7-10 attempts, and no one has been remotely close. Like, no one has been in the vicinity of what Anthony and I pulled off in Reno this year. That was last year. That was extraordinary. Just extraordinary.
That was pretty cool.
And you know what? It's good for the sport. It's good, because every time Rob and I are doing the show, or Randy obviously does all the shows, regardless of where it's airing, we brought up the same stat, right? You go back to 1991, Jess Day Rook in Tucson, last 7-10 split. I mean, I must have read that stat like, I don't know, 100 times, because you talk about it, you think about it, it comes up anytime it's got the 7-10, it's in your head. All right, Tucson, Arizona. But now it's Reno, it's Anthony Nyer. 2021. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I still remember John Mazda did it, in the same year, 91, on the winter tour down in Florida, and Chris Schenkel was like, wow, this is from the heavens, and you see John Mazda going, like he didn't know what was going on here,
Yeah, Rob got the call. I was there the next week without a 7-10 attempt. That's the way it goes, man. It was the U.S. Open this year, and good for him. My call probably would have been as energetic as Rob's, to be honest with you, if I had been there for that.
Yeah.
That's true PBA history. I'm a big history guy, regardless of what sport I'm covering. So it would have been cool to be part of that. But I'm sure glad Anthony did it. And it was cool to meet Anthony in Portland this year. He's such a fun guy to be around. His dad was there. Randy knows his dad really well. So we all got together and, had some tacos on the rooftop there in Portland. And it was a pretty cool scene to watch him bowl and win as part of that competition.
Yeah. Well, we have this lady who's coming on in a minute here. Let me bring her in. She's sitting there in the beautiful car. Kelly Kulick here. And Dave Ryan does a lot. You guys do a lot on CBS Sports with the women's bowling. So let's talk about the women's tour. They got their schedule that came out. It looks like they're staying in the state of New York for a good couple months.
Yeah, for me, it's close. Hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clearly. Just got
What's
done
up, Kel?
teaching, so you're catching me in my car. Hey, Dave.
KK, how you doing?
Yeah, we're going to be in that Rockville Center. So it was nice that they finally announced the schedule today. There's some exciting events and places that we're going back to, places we haven't been to in a while. And I know myself personally, I'm excited. That in New York, hey, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump for me. So less expenses, more tourism and everything, some great fans in that area.
Exactly. With Rockville Center, I got to ask you a question. I lived on Long Island. I lived in Oceanside, New York. Did they have a bowling alley there a long time ago? Because I know as a kid, I used to bowl there, but not the lanes are right there. Did they knock it down and put a new one up, or is it in a new area?
Guys, sadly, I don't know. I very left the part of New Jersey. There's some centers in New Jersey I still have yet to bowl in that a lot of the kids have. So I'm unfamiliar with it. I thought it was one of Laspina's places that he had and he redid. So it might have just been something that they revamped and it looks so much better now than it did in past time.
Yeah. Well, Dave, let's talk about the women's tour. You were helping out on CBS Sports with Kelly. Some great ladies bowling this year. You had some great first time winners. That tournament, that touring players championship was pretty good. I actually sat and watched the whole thing. Watching it. Just talk about you got the little one there. That's cool. But
before Kelly, hey Cortez, look, Cortez, say hi to Kelly, Chris, and everybody. This is one of our foster kids, Cortez. He's pretty awesome.
Adorable.
Nice.
He is the biggest, strongest baby we've ever had. We've had a lot coming out of this house. He wears like the same size as 2-year-olds wear. He's only 9 months, so
wow.
He's our little Hulk, we call him around here.
Nice.
So
hey, this is a family program.
I had to watch my feet because he's crawling. To answer your question, Chris, first of all, Kel, it's great to see you and happy holidays to everybody. Kelly, you in New Jersey, of course. So psyched about 2022, Kel. I hope that I get to do some shows. I hope you are on the shows, not commentating the shows.
Me too.
Because Kelly needs to be winning the shows. After getting in the winner's circle last year, was an awesome season for Kelly. And one of the best analysts I've ever worked with in any sport. And that's true, Kelly. You are. But I want to call you winning, not be by your side.
Yeah, me too, Dave. Me too.
Yeah, I'm gonna record. I'm recording this. I'm actually gonna replay it. So if you actually made it to the telecast, I'll put it on that week of.
There you go.
And we'll make sure we got everything correct, and it will be fine. I think that'll be great, right, Steve? Yeah.
Hey, Dave. Going back to what you said, there you saw the 710 made at the tournament there. I've actually been one to have actually made the 710 in my bowling career. It's been
that is a hard thing to do, Kelly. Am I right?
Very extremely hard to do. You got to get a lucky bounce from the back, hit the pin spot on with the center of the bowling ball, throw it hard enough. I mean, I've been fortunate to make it 3 times in my career, once in a competition, the other 2 times in practice. But the pins definitely fly a little bit easier now than they used to. Yeah, but still the most difficult spare to make.
But think about that, guys. I mean, one of the greatest bowlers of all time, men or women, 3 times. I mean, that's amazing, Kelly. 3. Actually, we've never talked about that, you and I. Wow.
Yeah.
It doesn't come up with the women's tour like the men's tour. But you know what? Next time we're on the air, Kelly, I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I actually made the 710 split in a high school bowling league, and somebody actually accused me of hitting the ball return. I'm like, no, I didn't hit the return button. I did the John Mazda, but on the other side.
Yeah.
And I watched the John Mazda with my mother one time. I said, Mom, I did it on the other side, not the way Mazda did it on the left side. And she goes, that's pretty cool. I was like, yeah. And she goes, have you done it ever since? I'm like, yeah. That's like pitching a no hitter. You get one chance to pitch a no, and
Yeah, one and done.
you're done. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but it's funny. Like,
Well,
for me, I've made it twice, but I've yet to throw a perfect game in bowling. So it's kind of
I
like
know that leads me to the 300 game. Like, for me as a play-by-play guy, the 710 would be a dream to call, but the 300 game, I've done a few of those with Kelly, some with Kelly, and they're like the perfect game of baseball too. I mean, they're so rare and they're so amazing, and the build up to the 12 perfect strikes, 12 perfect shots, sometimes lucky bounces or Brooklyn's, but there's nothing quite like that. So here's to some 300 games in 2022. Let's cross our fingers for a lot of good ones.
Yeah, my max was 11 in a row. That's the best. That's as far as I've gotten.
That's also amazing. Kelly, how many 300 games do you have?
Oh, sadly, Dave, I don't know that number. It's probably 45 or 50. I know it sounds kind of quirky.
It's a lot.
I don't bowl league anymore. I have ones that I remember that were very prestige to me. I have 2 in world competition. I won down in Chile and so forth. So ones that are very memorable to me is what I remember. We just had a 300 with the ladies in Dubai, and that was in the Baker game. So that was a cool one for me.
Wow,
that's
awesome.
cool. Yeah, I found this. I found this on the YouTube. It's not bad. Yeah, I like outdoor bowling. I love it. It's pretty cool looking.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was Dubai, Kelly? Did you have a good time?
I did. I had a great time. Yeah, we know we only won a few medals. We always got to the quarterfinal round. Unfortunately, we just, with the format and everything, we were chasing our tails a little bit and not able to win games when we needed to. But the experience of winning the team title and that gold medal with Danielle and Jordan and Missy was an absolute phenomenal experience. Just one that I'll always cherish.
That's cool.
Last time I saw Kelly, guys, we were doing the show in Reno, and Shannon Blahowski won, and what an amazing moment for her to win a major and just blow the field away. And Kelly's like, yep, going home for a day and then off to Dubai. Like, I'm going home and doing a college football game next week, but not traveling as far as Kelly was. So it's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Steve, you talked to me before the show. You actually bowled against Kelly in a pro-am, right?
I did. It was about 15 years or so ago. You were doing a pro-am. I think it was either Country Club Lanes or it was up at Forest Hill Lanes up there. But I do remember bowling against you in a pro-am.
Oh, okay. Yeah, down in the Maryland area. Must have been a regional or something for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. How fun was that? Was it pretty cool bowling against her?
Yeah, it was. It was kind of cool because I was sitting there like watching. And I know you and I are, I mean, I'm not saying anything, but you and I are kind of comfortable the same way age group, but I was looking at like, man, this person's going to be a star in another 10 years. And, here you are.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's real nice, Steve. That's cool. So what's the plans for the holidays for you guys? Dave, you're going to be having people over and
in-laws over. We're kind of taking it easy with COVID. We're just going nice and slow, Chris. Nice and easy with the kids. And it's a busy house. Kelly knows, got a lot of kids here. And Kelly, by the way, we adopted the twins a couple days ago, so we're pretty excited.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, it's official now. So Henry and Hazel are part of the team. Cortez, as you met just a minute ago, is with us. So it'll be a great, big, happy Christmas at home.
That's awesome. That's cool. Congratulations, Dave, on that. That's really cool. Bringing down with some kids. I have a niece.
It's busy, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I can't wait to see my niece and nephew. One's 5, and she wants to play softball. So I said, well, I could teach her how to play softball, or maybe one day you could be a bowler. I told my brother, I was like, I know people.
Tennis or golf.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and then I have a 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old nephew who basically I think he might be a football player when he gets older because he's just running around the house. Yeah, he just keeps running. He ran into when we had Thanksgiving at my parents' house. He ran into the side of the door. I'm like, "Are you okay?" And he bounced back up and started crying, and he was okay. I'm like, I guess you're going to be a football player. It's all right. Yeah, that's cool. So let's talk about 2022. What is one thing that, Dave, you're looking forward to on both tours? What do you think is going to be the major story that, is Kyle going to keep winning the
I think as we talked about on the men's side, it's Belmont for sure, his return and how with a full year under his belt, how he does. Will Kyle repeat the feat? Will Chris Vi break through and have more big days, big paydays? Because we didn't have a lot of bowlers win a lot of events. I thought last year was a great year, but it was sort of balanced in terms of spreading the wealth. Mm-hmm. And the women's side, there were some prizes. There were some young stars who blossomed. That was fun. A lot of veterans like Kelly won as well. That was amazing to watch. And then just to see Shannon Plahowski break through. I mean, Shannon and Kelly are very close. It was emotional for me just knowing a little bit about Shannon's story, how long she'd waited to win. So there were some breakthroughs on the PWBA side in 2022 that were great stories. So 2021. So I'm looking forward to that this year too. To me, the best part of live sports is you just don't know what you're going to get. Great stories, surprises, heartbreak, and dream finishes. You have that on both sides, the men and women, and I can't wait for 2022. I'm off for a little bit. I did the fights we were talking about Chris last week. Like, I can't wait for hoops and bowling and everything to get going. So it's going to be a great year.
Yeah. Same question to Kelly. What do you think is going to? What's the storylines for the 2022 season for the women's professional?
Well, the big boost last year in 2021 for going into 2022 are the increased prize funds for the Queens and the U.S. Open and the Players Championship. That $100,000 prize fund, obviously for Josie Barnes, was a great change of life for her and with Lisa Ruth, their daughter, and everything there. I also hope that 2022, as things start to settle down, even though we're at a heightened point again, but I know the fans really missed out the opportunity of bowling the pro-ams with both the women and the men. And they're such a huge supporter of us and being out there and enjoying that limelight and getting to interact with the professionals that I know the fans really missed out on that opportunity this year. So I'm in favor of the condensed schedule. I'm hoping the prize funds are boosted up in the middle portion of the payout and so forth for the other women. A lot of new young women coming out of college and even more rookies to be crowned and so forth. But I'll be curious to see, Verity finally had her breakout moment, having such a successful year. Brianna Cote, on the reins of it, came to be Player of the Year. Stephanie Zavala was really the biggest story, 3-time winner on her rookie season. So, there's the competitive field that's just continuing to grow stronger and stronger, harder and harder to win. I'm going to be bowling, maybe not full time, but definitely looking forward to those majors and the opportunities, and just continuing to expand it. We're going to be at CBS Sports Network. Hopefully Dave is talking about me and all my success in front of the camera, not behind it. But I really have enjoyed working with him and getting to learn from him. But I know the fans are in tune for a great season from the men being on their telecast, as well as the women getting back out there and getting back across the country and bringing bowling to every community.
Exactly. Well, real quick, Steve, you have one more thing for.
Yeah, Dave, in your days of calling PBA, but do you remember seeing knees on the tour?
The golden pin.
Yeah.
Free bowling. At least that was the case in Jupiter a couple years back. And it was awesome. We saw Walter Ray and Pete compete in that, and Normie, and they all got free bowling when it was in a head pin position.
Yeah,
that was absolutely fantastic.
Exactly.
I think Randy, you can still hear Randy yelling free bowling. One more game. It was a long time ago.
I can hear
Randy's voice carries.
Yes, he does. I have a story about Randy Pearson real quick. He was up here in one of the pro-ams, one of the regionals. He came up for Forest Hill, and he was telling me a story one time. And he flew into BWI, okay? And this lady was trying to get her rental car, and she forgot to put the car in. I think she didn't want to park the car or whatever, so she put it in so right. She forgot to stop, and when you pull in to get the people your ticket and park the car, ran right into the thing, and this guy just jumped out of the midair and was like one of these oh my god, I gotta get out of the way. I was like, what? I said to him, welcome to Maryland. Yeah. But anyway, I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. Kelly, I hope everything's good with your holiday season. And
thank you.
Yeah, and the same thing to you, Dave. Thanks for being so you're voiceable with your time and being part of the show. And we'd love having you on. Maybe we'll talk some college basketball when it gets to the March Madness time.
That'd be awesome. Absolutely, Chris. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for having me on. Kelly, it's great to see you.
You too,
Merry
Dave.
Christmas.
Happy holidays,
Kelly.
everybody. Thank you so much.
Happy 2022, guys. Happy New Year. See you soon.
See ya. Bye. All right, folks. That's Dave Ryan and Kelly Kulick, who they both Dave Ryan and Kelly does a lot of stuff on CBS Sports Network, and Kelly Kulick does a lot on the women's side. And Dave, you'll see Dave on a Fox Sports near you. If Rob Stone is not busy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's always the thing is, but it's always the kind of things of it when they're on tour
Mhm.
and it's Rob Stone and Randy Peterson. They're always having some little like spat or discussion or something between the two of them while they're doing the telecast, and it's like, guys, give it a rest. I mean, you do this stuff off the camera, not.
Hey, Chris Schenkel and Nelson Burton Jr. had a good time with each other, and they're just trying to get people to stay and watch the broadcast, and So I want to say thank you to all the wildlife that came in this broadcast. Yeah. Raven over there just sitting there going, she doesn't want any more airtime. But folks, I'm going to wish everybody a Merry Christmas to everyone out there. We won't be on next week because we have holiday stuff we have to take care of. It's very important that I have to be there for my mother's birthday, or else I'll probably be on the naughty list for 2022, probably.
Naughty list, shit. You'd be on the list of nobody wants to talk to you anymore.
Exactly. But, so we want to wish everybody thanks for coming on this program this year. This year. Thanks for coming on. I hope you enjoyed us, every Tuesday and Wednesday. We're moving to Tuesday nights, but we'll be back January 4th.
I really can't stay. Baby, it's cold outside.
Next broadcast is January 4th.
This evening has been
2022
so
at 7:30.
I hold your hands are just like my mother will start to worry.
What's your
My father will be pacing the floor.
Listen to the fireplace
So
roar.
really I better scurry.
Beautiful, please
That's
don't.
the next broadcast is January 4th,
All
2022 at 7:30. Sports Talk with Heidel. From now to then, everybody, Merry Christmas.
And we'll see you in 2022.
See you in 22, and also Merry Christmas to George Bashura, who was out wearing his thing. Thanks to Dave Ryan and Kelly Kulick stopping by, and Mark Howell, the chairman of the Indianapolis committee, and also Kyle Troup. Can't forget Kyle. So, folks, see you in 2022. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Good night.
Baby, don't